make a start, participants. My name is Khurram, and inshallah, we will go through this session called Value Proposition Design, and hopefully I will take about 1.5 hours, 90 to sort of 100 minutes of your time, and then maybe 10-15 minutes we will leave for questions. Sorry. Okay. Once again, my name is Khurram. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Excellent. Okay, guys, welcome to the session. And you will be with me for the next about 2 hours. Out of those 2 hours, I'll take about I would say 90 to 100 minutes going through the slides. And then the last 15-20 minutes, I would like to have a question answer session. Now, let me sort of first of all formally welcome you, and let's make a gentle start. So welcome. Okay, so that's over. Let's get on with it. I think you have been sitting down for quite a bit of time. So I think it will be appropriate if we started with a little bit of stretching. I mean, legs usually get a little numb while I know Ahmed Saab is smiling. He knows what's coming his way. So guys, push back your chairs like you're sitting in an aeroplane, and you just want to recline your chairs, make a little bit of space. And next couple of minutes, let's sort of limber up our joints. Okay, so push back. And let's start with the first warm up. You can see the green circle. So sort of lift your foot up and sort of make circles clockwise. So sort of, spin your foot, lift it, not too high, spin it so that the joint is getting a little sort of, warm. It's getting a little bit of, movement in it. Okay. Put the right leg down. Now lift the left leg and do the same thing. So just make circles clockwise. And if you want anti-clockwise, no bother, no problem. Rotate your foot. Get your ankle moving, little bit of play. Excellent. Okay, so let's try the second one. You can see the second circle on exercise 4. So again, stretch your leg out, and this time, where the joint is, try to press it down. So that your foot is flat. Press it down, lift it up, press it down, no circles. Now you're pressing down, so your toe is pointing out. Press it down. Do that a few times. Okay, right leg done. Good. Now do the same thing with your left leg. Lift it. Point your toe outwards. Press your foot down. Okay, lift it, then press it down. So you're stretching your foot. You're stretching your legs. So you can feel it on your sort of hamstring. And at the same time, on your ankle joint. Good. Do that a few times. Excellent. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, now move back a little bit more. I don't want you to hit anything. Now lift your leg. As you can see, this is exercise 5. And then sort of, push it up gently. Push it up. Do it about 5-6 times. Good. So that your arms and your legs and your joints are getting some movement. Okay. Push it up. Excellent. Now, do the same thing to your left leg. You can go up as high as you want to, but please be comfortable. Don't overstretch. If you haven't done it, start with a small movement and then build it up. Okay, a few more leg raises. Push it up. Okay, excellent. Okay, guys, now the last one. You can move forward for this. Nothing to do with your legs. Now we are moving up to the shoulder. So from the bottom of the body, or lower body, we are going to the upper body. So relax, hands on your legs or your thighs. Okay, the movement of the shoulder, forward, roll your shoulders. Do it about 5-6 times. Okay, 5, 6 times. Do it backwards now, 5, 6 times. Okay, guys, come on, roll your shoulders. I can't see you, but I want all of you to do this physical exercise, physical activity. Okay, excellent, excellent. Last 2 and done. Good. All right, guys. I hope you're a little limbered up, little warmed up, a little bit of physical activity. The blood is flowing. Let's move. Okay, so what are we going to discuss in this session? So basically what we are going to discuss is, first of all, I want to start with this idea of innovation. I think it's a very important and perhaps a little misunderstood idea. So sort of we'll have a little discussion around what is an innovation. Then I want to move on to value proposition. Actually, it is a continuation. This session is a continuation of a session that we did on business model generation. So basically now we are going a little bit deeper. And we're just going to focus on what is called value proposition design. Okay, so if you remember, the main purpose of business modeling was to create value. Okay, so this session is more focused, more concentrated. How do we create value for our customer? So we will start with types of value first, so that you have some idea of what are different types of value that we can put together, and we can pass it on to our customer. And then how can we generate, how can we create those values? Now, it's also important to assess the value proposition. So basically what you're creating, is it suitable for the customer? Is it something that the customer needs? Is it something that the customer wants? Obviously, you don't waste, or you don't want to waste your efforts. You want to generate something which is suitable for your customer, which is appropriate for your customer. So here, if you remember, in business model generation, we looked at some trigger questions, okay? Some very important questions that you must look into before you create value, before you create a solution to the customer need. Same thing here. So you really need to look at your value proposition in terms of what the customer wants. What are some of those key questions that we must take, that we must look into or answer when we are creating value and we are putting together a value proposition? It's very important that you understand the customer needs. It is extremely important to know what the customer wants. I think many people fail here. Many entrepreneurs fail here. They take their own perspective into the market without looking at what the customer wants. Okay, so here it's very important that we understand, we have a clear idea about what the customer needs are. Okay, and then inshallah we will sort of go into the value design, and we will do an activity where you guys will put together, or at least put an outline of a value proposition. Okay, so that is basically what I intend to do over the next sort of 70 to 80 minutes. So the basic question, what is an innovation? So what you see in front of you, a hovering mouse. It's one of those latest inventions which is going crazy in the American market. So let's start with the first image. And I want you to answer this question. I will show you 4 images. And I want you to tell me which of these products, which of these technologies is not an innovation. Okay, so let's start with the Google glasses. Okay, I mean, look, you can talk to me while sort of open the chat box here. Okay, so the first one is Google glasses. Let's move on to the next one. So just sort of keep that in mind, Google glasses. Okay. This is a superjet from NASA. Maximum speed Mach 3, i.e. goes 3 times the sound of speed, around 2,100 miles an hour. Okay. Is this an innovation, or is this not an innovation? Let's move on. Let's go to the third image. This is called an electronic cue. So if you remember, You know, sometimes you had a major problem controlling people when they were buying a railway ticket or a cinema ticket. So everyone would just gang up, throw themselves in front of the service counter. A whole sort of hell would break loose. Everyone would be jumping up and down on top of each other, trying to buy something, a ticket or a railway ticket or a cinema ticket. And then they come up with this idea of electronic counter. So basically what they do is they give you a ticket, and then your number appears on the electronic counter when your turn comes. So this tends to organize people into queues, and this makes service experience more pleasant, more organized, more time efficient. So is this an innovation or is this not an innovation? And finally, you have a pressure cooker on top of some candles. Okay, so very, very quickly, which one of these is not an innovation? You guys can talk to me, okay? Imran Kaleem from Gujranwala says pressure cooker on top of the candles. Okay. I'm not going to reveal the answer. Okay, some says all four are innovations. Wow, okay, good. NASA jet is not an innovation, says Noman. Fighter jet is not an innovation, says something else. Abdul Rafi Fatma says, okay, it's the pressure cooker. Someone says glasses are not an innovation. Okay, guys, fine. I mean, there are different answers here. And absolutely, you have right to give me an answer. Someone says NASA jet or pressure cooker. What I want to ask you guys is, what is your criteria here? Why are you saying NASA jet or glasses or pressure cooker on candles is not an innovation? What is your criteria? What is your benchmark? How are you making that decision? On basis of what? Anyone? So why are you saying this is not an innovation? What's the reason? There are things. Okay, obviously something that occupies matter is a thing. That is absolutely fine. Okay, it should be disruptive, Mudassar says. It could be disruptive. Innovations can be disruptive, absolutely. Okay, guys, I think I have fired a few neurons. I have started you on a thinking journey. And now I'm gonna reveal the answer which someone already gave. I don't remember the name because the chat went pretty fast. All of these are innovations. They are different types of innovations. The problem is when we see a NASA jet or we see Google glasses, because they are high-tech innovations, very quickly we say, oh, that's an innovation. So the question arises, what is an innovation? And I'm going to take a marketing definition here because you must have a lens through which you want to look at your definition. What's your perspective here? What's your angle here? My angle is marketing. Maybe if you go and ask a scientist working in a laboratory, he will give you a different definition of innovation. If you go and ask an engineer who's working in the field, he or she may have a different definition. So we are going to use the lens of marketing, or in this case, entrepreneurship. Need, absolutely, Abdul Moiz, need is important. So what I say here is, and I think it's not a surprise, it is not exactly what I say, a rocket science, that innovation is basically creating value that satisfies the need or the needs of a customer. Whether that is someone working in NASA, whether that is someone working in Google, whether that is someone who has an office job, whether that is a student, whoever the customer is. If you end up satisfying their need with an offering, whether that is a product or a service, that is an innovation. That is the definition of marketing, which befits the definition of what is entrepreneurship. Okay, so let's move on. I want to look into these customer needs because they are very, very important when you are creating value, when you're proposing value, when you're designing value. So you really need to look at the customer. Okay, so if you see here, there are two key elements related to value proposition. Very, very quickly, let me outline them before I move on, because I'm going to really hammer this point, going to look at this point in quite a lot of depth. So let's sort of very, very quickly, before we move on, let me sort of say what those two elements are, which are related to the value proposition. Now, those two elements are, first one obviously is the customer here, who is also part of the market. He is the market, okay? Market revolves around the customer. So we really need to look at the customer logic or customer perspective. That is one dimension of creating value. The second dimension, I think you must have realized by now, is it who is going to design the value. So here you also have to look at the business logic, the business perspective, because the business is also in the market. So when you look both ways, customer and business, then you create value, or then you can create more effective or appropriate value. This is going to be basically the main thread of the whole session, the value proposition. How do we look at the customer? How do we look at the business and end up creating value? Okay, let's move on. And let's sort of start with the first slide. Sorry, let me close this. Okay, so first of all, what are the different types of value propositions? Just for the sake of, sort of showing you how value can be created in different formats, in different guises. The first way you can create value is through service. I mean, no secrets here. Okay, service nowadays makes a big difference. Okay, it's a very, very sort of huge source, prominent source of creating value. A company name as Hilti. Okay, can anyone tell me what Hilti does? Because I know they're very active in Pakistan. Anyone? What does Hilti do? Okay, Hilti basically is a company. Yes, Liaquat. Yes, absolutely right. Abdul Rahman, yeah, they deal in machinery. They basically rent to the construction industry. Tools for the industry, absolutely. Big tools, cranes, power drillers. Yes, absolutely right, Muhammad, power tools. So Hilti used to have an old business model. They created value in a different way. What they did was they used to sell their products. They used to sell their equipment, and then they realized, hang on, people don't want this value. We are dealing with individuals whose main job, and I'm going to tell you what this job thing is in a minute, they want their job done, and that's it. They are not interested in buying something. They are just interested in getting their job done. So they said, hang on, instead of selling, why don't we change our business model from selling a product to servicing and see how that works? So what they started doing was, instead of selling these sort of power drills and cranes and diggers and shovelers, they started renting them. And they started creating a value by saying to the customer, who was construction industry, who was these big businesses who were involved in different types of civil projects, they started telling them, guys, we are here 24/7. Whatever you need, you will have it. And you will have it for 24/7. It is not going to stop or break down. So basically, the servitization on behalf of Hilti was peace of mind, 24/7, ubiquitous service available to you anywhere, anytime. Your equipment is not going to stop. You are not going to lose money. Nothing is going to remain idle. You will have an active, working piece of equipment. And Hilti is doing very well. So they created value through service provision. Okay, then you have something in the lines of consumables. I mean, consumables, if you have HP printers, they are also in the area of consumables. If you think about Johnson & Johnson or Roche, who sell blood glucose meters, they are also in this area of consumables. This is how they create value. They sell consumables. A very good example right in front of you is Nespresso. Okay, can anyone tell me what Nespresso do? I know it's a very generic question, but I just want to sort of ask you guys. And has anyone ever tried Nespresso? Oh yeah, Rizwan, bang on. Luxury coffee, premium coffee, nice coffee, but expensive coffee. So what Nespresso thought, hang on, rather than these guys going to coffee shops like Gloria Jean or Coffee Republic or Starbucks, why don't we give them the same experience at home? So this is for the coffee connoisseurs who are really into enjoying their coffee at home, relaxing, not disturbed. So what did they do? They said, okay, you can do that. We will give you a full solution. So we will give you a machine, a coffee maker, and with that, we will give you 14 different flavors of coffee. Not just any coffee, premium coffee. As one of you said, Rizwan, luxury coffee. Absolutely one-stop solution for coffee. At home, enjoy it. If your machine breaks down, give us a call and we will be there. Now, the money doesn't come from the machine. Exactly, Asif. The money comes from the consumable. That is the cartridge. If you remember, I don't know if I talked to you about the HP. After-sales service is very important as well, absolutely. That when you are using blood glucose meter, the money is not coming from the meter. The money is coming from the strips. When you're using HP, the printer, the money is not coming from the printer. The money is coming from the cartridge, the printer cartridge. So that is why it's called the consumables market. Okay, guys, excellent, excellent. So this is where the value is created. Sell the cartridge, sell the accessory, sell the consumable. Okay. Now this is where we are going into fashion. Now this is where some of you are saying things like disruptive strategy. Big word, but very important word. So here you will have some brand coming in and disrupting the market with the product. You have a mobile industry which was disrupted and still being disrupted. You have laptop industry which was disrupted, still being disrupted. So this is a very natural part of marketing. This is a very, how should I say, common part of marketing disruption. So trendsetters. And Swatch is one of those trendsetters. How did Swatch set a trend in the technology market? Okay, they said, guys, don't buy a watch. Yes, but what type of watch is Liaquat? That's a good point. They're watches. But how did they set the trend with watches? How did they change the value perception? Anyone? What did they do different? Or if you want to use the word, I don't want to use that word here, how did they disrupt the market? Okay, very good. Limited editions, colors, designs, fashion, absolutely right. So they came up with this concept that we will give you a limited edition watch, which is not a watch. It's a fashion statement. It is something you can wear and look cool. Actually, absolutely right. AP30, Zara, fancy watches. All price ranges, in fact, very affordable and limited edition. So they only make one batch. If it's 10,000, 20,000, they only make it once. They create the value. You can own that limited edition and they move on. So they are trendsetters. Okay, very quickly, a friend of mine, Italian, and she's a little cuckoo, a little crazy. And she is a big fan of Swatch watches. And one day, we were sort of, having a cup of coffee, and I noticed that she was wearing two watches, both on the left and the right. And I asked her, why are you wearing two watches? And she said, these are not watches. This is me. This is a statement. This is this is that. Anyway, So she was trying to brag about her fashion sense, but I thought she wanted to see time quickly. So quicker she could reach to your left or the right hand, you know, she was saving time. But anyway, so that is trend setting. Again, a very powerful source of value creation. Okay, guys, good. This is a low road approach. This is basically where you are using cost. So basically what you are doing is you are setting the price low, or you are giving additional incentives to create value. And usually what companies do, and I think one of you mentioned the word disruptive. I think one of the disruptions is low road disruption, or what is called low-end market disruption, or new market disruption. So what happens there? Southwest did that. So basically, they will cut the whole service to the core. We will make it simple. We will make it basic, but we are going to charge you a very low price. So this low cost becomes a value proposition. Here you're giving the service even in, in a very simple form, in a very basic form, which does the job, but you are giving it at a low price. So this is also a type of disruption, just to sort of, So what did Southwest did? Well, they actually reduced the cost of air travel to such a point that it was more efficient, it was more low cost, or it was more appropriate to use a flight than your car. You could save more money. So they brought down flying to such a level where this was more cost effective than using your car. Usually where you have no-frill airlines, low-cost airlines like AirAsia, or in Qatar we have something called Go, and in Dubai you have Fly Dubai, and there are many such no-frill airlines. They usually charge you for the baggage. Well, these guys, they allowed you to fly with your bags. So this is where they were giving you extra value at no cost. So this was basically what we say a low-cost way of creating value. Okay, guys, one more, and then inshallah we'll start some interesting stuff. Now this is called a platform. So how does a platform create value? Well, basically what the platform does is it acts as an intermediary. It acts as a connector. Well, connector between what and what? What they do is they connect the customer and the supplier. Okay, how many of you have used Airbnb? So what's the model? So very, very quickly, it's a platform. It's a platform in which you can book a room, you can book accommodation when you go abroad, or if you are looking for somewhere to stay, and it's very cost efficient model. So what do they do? Very, very quickly, what they do is you are the person who's looking for the accommodation, so you are the guest, and you want to go to Spain, or if you want to go to Malta, you want to go to Italy, and you like a room, Italian family, who have advertised it on the Airbnb platform. So basically what you do is you say, okay, I like this accommodation, you pay that money, a little bit of commission from the guest and a little bit of commission from the host goes to Airbnb. Because what they have done is they have connected you, the guest, with the host, someone who is exactly. Okay, so you get the point. It is about house sharing. It is about room sharing. It is about accommodation. It is about finding cheap digs or cheap place to live. Very, very cost effective. So Airbnb is basically an online platform. And then you have other models where you have, for example, credit cards. Okay. And then you have this huge platform where you basically sell and you buy. And that platform is called anyone online. Yeah, it could be Daraz, but something which is global. What's the name of that platform? Yeah, OLX is one. Amazon is actually More of, I would say, a social platform. I don't know whether they make money. You're right. Okay, I'll reveal the name later on. So think about, yeah, okay, guys, okay, you got it, Bushra. It is eBay. That is also a platform. All eBay does is it connects, or at least when it started, it connects the guest to the host. Okay, so let's sort of move on. I think I don't want to spend too much time on definitions. Let's do some interesting stuff. So this is basically different ways in which value can be created for the customer. So what you will see is that value comes to you in one of these forms or one of these shapes, either in a service form, either in a consumable form, either in a platform form, either in a cost-efficient model form, so on and so forth. So let's start doing something interesting. So first of all, let's start with assessing value proposition. How do we do that? If you remember the top figure. So this is basically the template which I sent to you, and this is a template for business model canvas. We worked with it, okay? And you remember the 9 components of the business model canvas. Today, we are going to focus, and we are going to focus on 2 of those components. We're going to go deep. These are the 2 components. Okay, so if you remember, one of these components, the one on my right, is the customer segment. It's the customer. It's a person who is in the market, who wants value. On the other hand, you have the value proposition. So you are creating value for that customer. You're proposing value for that customer. That is the value proposition. So these 2 components of business model canvas, this is what we are going to look at in this particular session. So 2 things that we are going to look at. And those 2 things are, first of all, we will look at the business side, the one who is going to create the value, the one who is going to put together the value. Okay, so this is the business perspective, the square in front of you. And I'll explain the components in a minute. And then we will look at the customer. Then we will look at the customer perspective. Okay, in fact, it may be other way around. You look at the customer first, you understand the jobs they want done, what are their needs, and then you go to the value proposition side. Now the business wants to take care of those needs. They want to create a product or a service to satisfy those needs. So this is what we are going to look at today, guys. These 2 components of business model canvas. Okay, so let's sort of start digging deep now. So let me get rid of these, sorry. Okay, undo. Okay, so let me sort of very quickly again clarify. So this is your market. Remember, the customer is connected to the business. So 2 perspectives in the market when you are creative. That is one side of value proposition design, or that is one side of value creation. The other side, equally important, is the enterprise, the business, the concern, the entity who is going to create that value. Okay, so coming back to the definition of purpose of the value proposition design is that from the idea, okay, from the concept, you want to create value. You want to create something which the customer wants, which satisfies the need of the customer. But you want to do this quickly. You want to do this methodologically. If you fail, and believe you me, you will fail, because that is part of success. Without failing, it is very difficult to succeed. So these failures are not failures. These failures are actually those experiences from which you learn. So here the idea in value proposition design is you take that idea, you test it quickly, you learn from it, you improve it, and bang, hopefully you will have and done. But that is the process. I think Steve Jobs said something on these lines that when you are designing technology, fail quickly, restart. Because if you don't do that, your competition gets the upper hand. Okay, so here one thing is that, yeah, you have ideas. You want to turn them into a value. You may fail. So if you do fail quickly, and then retry. And that is how you evolve that idea into some sort of viable or needed value. Okay, guys, so what's the process? Well, I've already said the process here is that we want to look at the customer side, and then we want to look at the business side. And then we want to match the two. That is very important. You want to fit the two, and that's where value creation happens. So let's start with the customer side. Very important. So what does customer want? Well, basically what the customer wants is they want some jobs done. So what are these jobs? These jobs are the needs of the customers. And I'll go into this. What are these jobs? How are they needs? And why do customers want them done? Well, they want them done because these jobs give them some benefits or gains, or looking at it the other way, the other side of the coin is that those jobs, those needs relieve certain pains, get rid of certain pains, get rid of certain problems, certain challenges or constraints. So the fundamental question here is, what is a customer job? And how can we look at this customer job and convert that into a need and then hopefully satisfy that need through value proposition? Okay, so I will look at the job in a minute, but very, very quickly, let me give you the other side. The other side is the business perspective. So customer has a need, customer has a pain, customer wants some gain. Who is going to provide that? Who is going to come up with those gains and relief for those pains? Well, it is the business. It is the enterprise. And this is where we look at the business perspective. This is the other side of value creation. So this is where a business will have a service, will have a product, a consumable, it will have different shapes, different forms of value to satisfy the needs of the customer. So how do you satisfy the needs? Well, you create gains or you relieve pains. Okay. So now hopefully you understand the components of value creation. You understand the customer side, you understand the business side. So I'm going to take this idea forward. I'm going to develop this idea further. What is important? So you have a customer on one side, they want jobs done. They want certain gains. They want to get rid of certain pains. So this is the customer side. So who's going to offer this to them? Who's going to provide this to them? Well, this will be provided in the form of the value by a business. What is important? The important thing is that what customer wants and what the firm wants to provide, there has to be what I call a fit between the two. They should match. Okay, there should be a high level of complementarity. When that happens, you sell your product. You're successful. You have satisfied the need of the customer. So this is what we're going to look at. And we are going to look at this through something called value design canvas. Now, business model canvas, if you remember, had 9 components. What this guy Osterwalder did, Alex Osterwalder, who came up with business model canvas, he just took 2 components from that model and he gave the name of this simple value design model as value design canvas. So fundamentally, as I said, on the right hand, watching the screen, you have your customer. On the left hand, you have the business. This is your market. This is where value is created. This is where value is propositioned. And the main thing is when you do your value proposition canvas and you design your value, there has to be the element of fit. Okay, guys, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sum all of this, the basics of value proposition canvas, by showing you a video. So here, hopefully, you will have a reasonably clear idea of what is value proposition canvas. After this, I will take any questions that you may have for a couple of minutes, and then we will move on with a couple of activities, because I want you to put that into some sort of a practice so that you have a clear idea of what we should be doing with this value proposition canvas as entrepreneurs, as product developers, as marketers. Okay, so let's sort of start with the movie.
Every day, companies design products and services to improve their customers' lives. But 72% of new product and service innovations fail to deliver on expectations. This means that customers don't care about 7 out of 10 new products introduced to the market. It doesn't have to be this way. Just like you create value for your business with a business model canvas, there is in fact a tool to intentionally visualize, design, and test how you create value for customers. It's called the Value Proposition Canvas. The Value Proposition Canvas is composed of 2 parts, the customer profile and the value map. With the customer profile, you describe the jobs your customers try to get done. Jobs can be functional, like getting from A to B, social, like impressing friends and colleagues, or emotional, like gaining peace of mind. You highlight your customers' pains, which annoy customers while trying to get a job done. Pains and negative outcomes that customers hope to avoid, like dissatisfaction with existing challenges, frustrations, risks, or obstacles related to performing a job. Outline customer gains, which describe how customers measure the success of a job well done. Gains are positive outcomes that customers hope to achieve, like concrete results, benefits, and even aspirations. Use the customer profile to visualize, test, and track your understanding of the people or companies you intend to create value for. It's a map that becomes clearer the more you learn about your customers. The second part of the canvas is the value map. With it, you list the products and services your value proposition builds on. You describe in which way these products, services, and features are pain relievers, how they eliminate, reduce, or minimize pains customers care about, making their life easier. And you outline in which way they are gain creators, how they produce, increase, or maximize outcomes and benefits that your customers expect, desire, or would be surprised by. The value map makes explicit how your products and services relieve pains and create gains. Use it to design, test, and iterate your value proposition until you figure out what resonates with customers. You achieve fit by creating a clear connection between what matters to customers and how your products, services, and features ease pains and create gains. Great value propositions target essential customer jobs, pains, and gains, and do so extremely well. Your customer profile may contain countless jobs, pains, and gains, but your value map highlights which ones you intend to focus on. But don't forget, an outstanding value proposition can still fail if your business model is flawed. Successful companies embed outstanding value propositions in scalable and profitable business models. It's the value proposition canvas to create products and services that customers want. Get started at strategizer.com.
Okay, guys, so let's sort of very, very quickly discuss the video. So let me sort of go back. All right. So
these days, people are wondering how and when the global economy will recover from its current downturn. While no one can predict the future, eToro users recommend that we look for insights by seeing how the markets reacted.
Okay, sorry guys, sorry about that. Okay, so let's go back to our movie clip and then start the discussion. So are there any questions in terms of value proposition canvas, its key components, and more importantly, sorry, can you see any? No, you can't. Okay, is there here? Okay, very good. What's the difference between a pain reliever and a gain creator? So basically here, pain relievers are to get rid of any problems, any constraints, any limitations that a customer is facing. I'm going to explain them in a minute, Irfan. So just sort of, hang on. And the gain creators are where you want to get an advantage. You want extra features. You want maybe higher resolution in a camera. You want something which is more fast. You want more speed. You want a better design. So these are what we call the gain creators. But I'm going to go into them in more detail. Are there any other questions?
We don't have any questions, Dr. Khurram, right now. We can move ahead.
Okay, I will move on. And then if you have questions later on, inshallah, I'll try to leave about 10 minutes towards the end. And we can sort of have a quick question answer session then. Okay, guys, so let's sort of, move on. And so let's sort of try to play with this value proposition design. Okay, sorry. Okay, let's sort of try to play with this value proposition design. But before we do that, I think you really need to have a very clear idea of how do we gauge, how do we assess, how do we understand customer needs. And if you remember, one of the components in customer profile was the jobs that customers want done. So what are these jobs? These jobs are very important because these jobs will define, these jobs will categorize the needs of the customer. So you need to understand the job or the jobs that a customer wants done to understand the needs that the customer has. So what are these jobs? Well, very simply, a job is a task or an activity that the customer wants done. Okay, so how do they do these jobs? How do they perform these jobs? How do they sort of carry on, conduct these activities or tasks? Well, what they do is they hire products. So for instance, if I want to go from my house to a shopping center, I hire my car. So basically the job of the car is to take me from point A to point B. So what if I want to fix my son's cycle? The brakes are loose, I want to fix them. So what do I hire? Well, what I hire is a toolbox. So I take a set of pliers, or I take a spanner, I hire those tools, I hire those products to do a job. That job is to fix the cycle or the bicycle of my son. So basically, we as customers would hire products to do different jobs, different tasks, different activities. So let me give you another example, more relevant. So what we're doing now, I'm talking to you guys, we are having a discussion around value proposition design. Now, going back to 2017, I used to come to IBA, to CED, and I used to talk to you guys face to face. So basically, the job was being done by me in person, standing in front of you in one of those seminar rooms and having a conversation, having a discussion. So there, I was doing the job in person, flying over, standing in front of you, and interacting with you. Now the scene has changed. So you bring in COVID-19, you are sitting at your home, I'm sitting at my home, I'm doing more or less the same thing, i.e. interacting with you, discussing things with you. But now the job is being done by hiring a computer, hiring technology. Before it was face-to-face, now it is through a medium, which is an online medium, which is supported by a computer or a laptop. So here, before, I was doing the same job offline, which I really enjoyed. I loved those Sindhi biryanis coming there, having some nice kadaktis and talking to you guys and having a lot of fun because I could do a lot more, do some physical stuff in terms of 3D business model development and so on and so forth. But now the nature of the job has changed because the environment has changed. So what am I doing now? Well, I'm talking to you guys, having fun. However, using online technology. So see the job, teaching, training, being done by hiring different types of product. In one case, a human face-to-face. In another case, laptop connected to internet using online technology. So we humans, remember, do jobs. And we do those jobs by hiring products. So different types of jobs. I'm going to collapse different types of jobs into two main areas. And there could be other areas, but I'm going to categorize them in two main areas. One area is functional job. So this is basically the practical stuff that we do. Okay, this is what you can see. This is what you can monitor. This is what you can evaluate. So we sort of have a watch because we want to keep track of time. We want to organize ourselves. We have a mobile phone because we want to watch movies, we want to talk to other people, we want to check different types of information, so on and so forth. So functional jobs are practical tasks that you can see, you can monitor, you can evaluate. They are visible, okay? However, there is something even more powerful here. And this is what drives our needs. And that is the emotional job, the second type. So these are the feelings, these are the sentiments, these are the emotions which are bubbling inside of us. They are an intrinsic part of us. Okay, emotions are what really push us as customers. If you can get in touch with these emotions, if you can uncover those emotions, you have got the customer. You have understood really what makes them tick. What is the core need here? What is the main desire here? But it is not easy to tap into the emotional side of the job. Okay, it is not easy. Functional, easy, you can see. I can see features on a mobile phone. I can see you typing, text messages. I can see you watching movies. I can see you driving a car. I can see you riding a motorcycle. Okay, so functional jobs, practical jobs, I can see. They are simple, they are easy, they're more detectable. Okay, so mostly we marketers work on the premise of what functional jobs people want, customers want. But that is not the most effective way of capturing value, capturing needs. There is what I say an undertone, an undercurrent. What you see on the top of the wave is not the reality. The force is actually underneath the wave. That is what pushes things. So emotions are important, but guys, we don't have time to go into emotions. They are not easy to detect. You really need to dig deep, do some ethnographic interviews, do some in-depth interviews. You really need to do some powerful observations to really get into the mind of the customer. So we don't have time for that. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the functional side. So what are functional jobs? Very, very quickly. You have a mobile phone here, a slightly old, but nice phone. Motorola days when you used to have these nice buttons you could push, mechanical buttons and, do things. Now you have smartphones where you have No buttons, just an electronic field in which you sort of interrupt and cause things to happen. So tell me, I know it's a very simple, but at the same time, a very complicated question. What is the job of a mobile phone? Why do you hire a mobile phone? Okay, come on, talk to me. And be a little original. Okay, to connect, to communicate. Very good, very good. Anam, that's fine. All right, go beyond that. Sort of go into that emotional zone. Go into that emotional level. Why do you hire a mobile phone? Keeping in touch is functional, fine. That's excellent, sharing messages. Yes, Bushra, that is the key point. Sometimes it's very difficult to separate emotional and functional needs. They are very attached. One leads to another. Yeah, there are social needs, absolutely, Afnan. Social needs like status signaling, absolutely. Mia Fahad, that is very correct, very true. When managers sit down for a meeting, the first thing they do is they mark their territory. And they mark their territory with a mobile phone. So if they have a latest mobile phone, they put that on the table where it's visible. It has replaced elevation. It has replaced many things. And I think it will keep developing and it will replace many other things. So maybe it will be an integrated platform for life management. And this is how far it will go. So absolutely right, guys. Multiple tasks, okay? So basically, you want to look up a number, you want to call someone, you will use a mobile phone. I mean, what I've sort of put here is jobs in a special format. And one of you was asking me earlier on, and I that's a pain. And I want some gains. I want a gain where I want a battery life of maybe 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't want to sort of charge my mobile phone every night. Or there could be another gain which I'm very interested in. And I think many companies are going that way now. There's the camera. So I don't know whether this is a mobile phone or this is a digital camera. Because I mean, now this technology is being worked at quite hard, and camera resolution, picture sharpness is really becoming quite impressive. And now cameras, the mobile phones are sold on it gives you that focus. Absolutely right. Okay, your body with caffeine and such other, what I say, there is a special word for it, sort of neuron boost. Yes, absolutely. I would prefer an espresso over Red Bull. And that really does the job for me. Okay, so the point I was trying to make was that this simple it is absolutely. or sugar blow. I don't know what you want to call it. But here, the point, you just drink, and that is totally emotional. Someone, it was a colleague of mine, 4 cans of Red Bull in one go, and he couldn't sleep for 2 days. And he was, boasting about this. Oh, you know what? I did this sugar fix, he called it. And I thought that was one of very naive things to do. In my view, that wasn't like cool, but he thought it was pretty impressive. So very difficult to separate functional from the emotional dimension. Okay, so there is a dovetailing effect. There is a crossover effect. Now let's sort of fantasize a little bit, still staying on jobs. And I'm sure most of you are on the way to earning their first million and inshallah buying this beauty called Rolls-Royce Bentley. I mean, I like the 2 colors, royal blue, the one you see in front of you, and shiny black. They're very impressive, but okay. Is this an emotional product? Can you say this satisfies your emotional need and emotional need alone? Yes, ego, absolutely. You want to feel important, but it also takes you from A to B. So does it not perform a functional job as well? Yes, Nakib, that is the whole point. That most products, if not all products, may have both elements of functional and emotional. So usually what happens is one element dominates the other. There is a tilting towards one type of job, whether that is emotional or whether that is functional. But it is difficult to take them out of a product. Exactly. Sometimes emotional value is bigger, sometimes functional value is bigger. Absolutely right, Talha. Good thesis. Now, this is a nice car. I think it's a Suzuki. And what would you say? Would this boost your ego without sounding sarcastic? For some, yes, it would. Well, it depends on who you are.